today is one of those days in a week where you're like, what am I going to do with my day? Today's a weekday, by the way, and I'm supposed to have gone to work or something like that. But yes, I'm in my house. Come and beat me. I'm right here. I was supposed to have breakfast right now, but right now I decided that I'm going to shoot a vlog. So we're going to pretend like my burnt toast isn't here, and then after I finish the video, I'm going to have breakfast. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do today, because today is one of those days where you just feel like just want to stay at home and be myself. Like, look at me guys, this is not the vibe, this is not what I usually give you guys, even though I know that nah. Okay, so we're going to ignore all of this and then we're going to get to the video. So I'm going to be telling a story. This happened to me sometime, I think 2017, 2018. Yeah. So I'm going to be telling a story. This is a story time. How I was charmed. Yeah, I was charmed, and then they used jazz to rob me. Yeah. They call it 419. No, not 419. Guys, I can't remember what the name is, but eventually I'll remember and I'll put it up there for you guys. So anyways, so on this very fateful day, I went to visit my friend. I was on my way back from my friend's place. This was around like 8 o'clock in the evening. Yeah, 8 in the evening. So on my way, I was like, oh, it's already late, let me hurry. I was still in uni back then. So I was going back to school, going back to my studies. I think that period was one exam period. We were just starting the exams and I had to really go to see my friend. That's why I left school. So on my way back, I couldn't find a taxi or anything. So I decided to walk out of the street and then find my way back to school, because I had to get to school since I was already running late, and they locked my hostel around like 10. So anyways, I was on the road. I stood for a while, finally saw this cab. This cab comes, pulls over. The driver is a male. The person in the front is also a male, and then the person at the back is a female. So I was comfortable enough. There's already one female already in the car. So I got in, and then they took me halfway through. They picked somebody else. It was like a shared cab or something like that. So by the time we got to the junction, the person that they had picked halfway through, a lady as well, dropped, and then we were going. When we got to the final bus stop, before we get to the express that will then finally take me to school, they call it Aba Road in Port Harcourt. So this person in the front stops, and then he comes down from the car, and then they call it one chance. So he hands the driver $1. Yeah, $1. And the driver is like, no, we don't use that in Nigeria. Yeah, we use naira in Nigeria. You have to go and change the dollar or something like that. And then he starts speaking French, and with his French accent and everything, and he's explaining to the driver that, oh, he's new in the country, he came with a ship, and I know the light is getting down. I don't know if you guys please pardon me, like the sun is not out today, and today is not one of those days. So yeah, it's a cloudy day. Anyways, so the guy gives the driver the $1. The driver explains to him, and he explains to the driver he's a foreigner, he came with a ship, and they have this whole shipment somewhere, and he's currently staying at one Mother Mary orphanage, something like that. This was near Corpus Christi. Anybody that knows Port Harcourt knows where Corpus Christi is, at Aba Road. So he gives the driver, and the driver now was like, okay, that he's going to help him get to where he says he was going to, somewhere along the same Aba Road, not too far from where we were. So the man gets back in the car, and then the driver turns to the rest of us and is like, oh, that he has to help this stranger find his way home, so we should please pardon him, give him some time to help the man get home. So me, ordinarily, I wasn't at first paying so much attention to their conversation, but then I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. If it's just to drop the guy off, then of course he will take me where I'm going to. So I sit back in the car. Something in my mind at that point was telling me, I said, just come down, you'll find another car that will take you straight down to school. But then I was like, it's just another extra 10 minutes or 20 minutes highest. They'll probably drop the guy and then take me where I'm going to. So I sit back in the car, and then the driver starts going. So halfway through the road, the driver starts asking the man a lot of questions. Where are you coming from? All of that. The man is like, oh, I'm coming from, I think, Senegal, a bit Cote d'Ivoire, one of these French-speaking African countries. So the guy says a lot of all this stuff to the driver, and then tells the driver how he has shipments, and the shipments he has is for election. He wants to do local government elections, so they need money, and he brought brown paper, and this brown paper, there's a chemical. If you mix it with the chemical, it's going to turn into money and stuff like that. But because the driver has been very helpful for him, he can manage to give the driver some of the brown paper, and then the driver will have to sort out the chemical to turn the paper into money. I wasn't even thinking about the entire money situation we're talking about. I wasn't thinking about how I was going to gain from the entire thing. All that was on my mind at that point was, this man, just get me to school. I have to read. I had the paper like 2 days after that, so I was so, like, my mind was already on what I had in hand. Yeah, I think so. So the driver now starts going, and then the man now finally stops at this place where he calls Mother Mary Orphanage, some like rather talk like that. So the man comes down, and then he goes somewhere with the driver. Is like, oh, let me make sure you get to where you're supposed to go to. So the driver escorts him, and then they get to a particular point, and then they both come back together. And then the driver is now showing us this brown paper that looks like an envelope. It looks like an envelope, like envelope cut into pieces. So he shows us, and then the man is like that he can help, that the chemical is they've already dipped the paper in the chemical and dried it already. So all he needs now, the driver needs, just to turn this one piece into money, is water. So me, I'm like, how are they going to turn? So it's like a show. It became like a show for me. So I wanted to see how he was going to turn brown paper into money. So I decided to wait back and see. So we get the driver asked me to check somewhere around that I was going to see, like, bag of pure water just tied somehow under the seat. So I bend and I see it, and I bring it out, and then he dips the paper, and lo and behold, guys, I am not shitting you. Yeah, the sun is out. I am not shitting you. The paper turned to money. At that point, I was like, what in the fuckery is this? Like, I was like, what the fuck is this? So anyways, okay, sorry for my swearing. I was like, what is this? The man now comes into the car with the driver. They sit where they were, like the driver at the driver's seat and the guy at the passenger seat in front. So he now says that, but we have to keep it a secret because people he's dealing with are politicians and so we have to keep it a secret. So he decides that he's going to say something, and then we agree. And then the team, because he doesn't trust us that much, and and the driver is like, yeah, that sailors all the time, when they're on their boats, they worship man-made whatever. So me, I'm like, whatever, just get over with it, let me get out of here. Basically, that was really what was on my mind. So the driver now, the guy now says some some kind of incantation, whatever. So he says it, and then immediately I just felt something, like I was scared, like I felt fear. I felt like something was going on. At that point, I felt it in my chest that something had happened, but I couldn't place my hand exactly what it was. So after that, the driver was like, oh, the man was now like that he has some chemical with him there. He's going to give us some, but it's not enough to change the entire money. But then we're going to have to pay him for the chemical he's going to give us. So at that point, the driver is like, oh, that he doesn't really have money. Yo, anybody will get money, and bring go in pidgin English. So he was not like that. Okay, he opened the pigeon hole and stuff in the cap, and then brought out some money. But the money was like, let's say 2,000 or 3,000 naira. Then the lady beside was like, oh, she's a provision store owner. She sells provision, and that she didn't have so much money, and she had like 5,000 and stuff like that, but she can find more money eventually, she'll have to talk to her husband and stuff and stuff and stuff like that. So me, I'm like, okay, yes, I'm with money. If it's going to settle whatever this is, and with some money, I think that day I had like 10,000 or 15,000 with me. Yeah, I had like not good money, but it was okay enough. So I don't even know what came over me. I gave them the entire thing. Like, I'm serious, I gave them the entire thing and I gave it to them, and they joined it with all the other money and handed it to this guy. And then this guy brings something in, like, you know, this keg where they put engine oil for cars, that kind of a keg, and then he puts it in the car boot. He shows us and then puts it in the car boot, and it's like we have to procure more of another type of chemical to mix with this one. So we'll probably meet the next day or sometime about that time. So we agree, and then the driver is like, okay, he thanks the guy, and it's like he's going to drop us off somewhere where we'll be able to find our way. And at that point I'm like, why won't you just drop me where I was supposed to go? But at that point, let me be honest, I wasn't really reasoning anything. It was like my head was suddenly clear, and all I could think about was money. Like, I suddenly became so interested in this money that like, even till now, when I think about it, it's even weird for me. Like, it doesn't add up. So anyways, the driver drops me somewhere, and then I find my way to school. And then the next day they keep calling, like, where are you, come out, me that's supposed to be reading for my exams. I find my way somehow, I come out, and then they tell me to meet them somewhere. They call it Rumokoro roundabout, that I should not go past that place. So I should just stop somewhere about Rumokoro, then they'll come and pick me up from there. So I went to the Rumokoro, but I waited for a while and I hadn't seen it, and I called, they were not picking. So I entered a bus that took me a little further, and then I called them again. Then they came to pick me somewhere around Rupoku. So when they picked me from there, they were upset. Why did I did not do as they asked, and stuff like that. So later they eventually carried me. Then we went down to Ishopo, I guess. I'm not sure, I don't even know, but I think it's Ishopo in River State. Then it's like a village. So we went there, and they picked this man that is coming back from church. He's wearing this dress they call senator. It's like a jumper. So he's coming back from church. They call him elder, and they seem very conversant with the man. It did not occur to me that something really was up. But now, if I think about it, the fact that they had so much rapport already with the man was something I should have been wary about. So they tell the man, and the man brings out something and says we should not look. He brings out something that he says is a mirror. Honestly wanted to look, but he said if you look you'll probably get blind. So at that point, with the fear and everything, I wasn't looking at anything. I was just not thinking at that point. So the man does his whatever, and he begins to tell everybody their future and tell everybody their problem and everything. He's just basically a seer, something like that. But he said that somebody came to buy the chemical and wanted to use it to terminate pregnancy, and then the big man, that is the man's daughter. A lot of stories he told us. So after seeing the future of several others, my own turn, he couldn't even tell me anything I could hold in my hand as future or past or whatever. He just said some random basic shit about me that probably anybody looking at me would know. So we left from there. They now eventually dropped me back where they had picked me at Rupoku, and told me and the woman to wait while the three of them go off to buy the chemical. So like, let's say 10 minutes later, they return with another keg looking like engine oil, and then they're like, they bought the chemical and stuff like that. But now the man is like, only the way the thing is going, but they will inform us and stuff like that. So they give me some transport, and then they let me go home. Then I go back to school. I don't hear from them for a while, and then eventually one night they call me and like, oh, that the Ghana must go that has the brown paper is bringing out smoke because the politicians put a red ring. The red ring is bringing out light, and they have to wash the chemical, the paper, brown paper, with money, big money, large amount of money, like let's say 400,000, which is equivalent to like, let's say $1,000, let's say. I know it's less than $1,000, but about $1,000. So I'm like, okay, I don't have that kind of money, but I'll see how much I can raise. They're like, oh, that your mother does she not have gold or something. Like, they were really aggressive at that point. And at that point, I know that normal circumstances, if I was in my right thinking mind, as lawyers will say, I'm supposed to be like, why are these people shouting at me? Why are these people making it seem like they're doing me a favor? It should be me rather. But then it's like now that I'm thinking that, but then at that point I'm like, oh, I'm going to find the money, people should calm down. I was so agitated, it was mind-blowing. So anyways, I tell them, okay, I'm going to find the money, and then every single, like, let's say every 1 hour or 2 hours, they're calling me, have you found the money, what are you doing, plenty talk. The woman is like, oh, she has asked her husband has agreed. The man said, oh, his father kept money with him, he's going to use that's the driver, he's going to use the money his father kept with him, that me, I should just go and find my own, I should find a way, they need to get this thing and get it moving on so that everybody can go their separate ways. And he's really shouting at me. So me, I'm like, okay, no problem. All the money in my account was not up to that amount, but it would go a substantial amount. So I was going to ask, because one of my friends had told me that she had some money in her account. So I'm like, okay, no problem, if that's what it's going to take. Because they're like, you don't need to bring cash, you can bring ATM card. So I'm like, okay, I would probably ask my friend for an ATM card, and then I wouldn't have to give them the pin or anything like that. They would just mix it, and tada, the money would suddenly appear. And then they're like, we need to go to a church to do it too, but I don't have to go to my own church, that the driver can do it. The old man, the one they call elder, that came to join us with the mirror, that he had he's a elder in his church, so he can lend us his church. The church has they're going to need candle, they're going to need a mat, and plenty things they call that. They knew that I probably would not be able to source on my own, and because they offered that they would be able to source everything for me, I just had to bring the money for them to use to wash the money, that it will be fine. So me, I was panicking, I was thinking. Normally when I'm having my anxiety, I was crying as well. Everything was just upside down. At that point, my friend was trying to calm me down. She was like, let's go out, you'll probably be fine when you go out. I was like, no. And I couldn't also tell her what the matter was. She probably thought it was some man issue or something like that, but that was not the issue. The issue was that these people were on my neck, asking me for money that I did not have, and I had to bring this money because they were calling me every 2 hours to remind me. Bearing in mind that I had an exam, and I also told them that at that period I was writing my exam, so they were also putting the pressure of that, oh, you need to focus on your exam, so you need to get this done and over with. And that was also how I felt. It was crazy at that point, sharp. So anyways, the next after a while, it became Monday. I remember that it was a Monday. I don't know how the other days were, but I know that particular day was a Monday. So I went to meet my friend. I told her about the entire that morning around like 6 or 7. I was in a hostel. I told her like a lot of stories on how I was going to make money and how I just needed her to give me an ATM card to invest. I gave her like, it was like a proper presentation. Like if I give that kind of presentation to somebody, I'll probably get like contracts, like serious $1 million contract, because I had like it all sorted in my head. I gave it to her, told her like I had to convince her to give me an ATM card and an ATM pin to go and give these people to wash brown paper into money. Oh god, I fucked up. But anyway, I went to meet them and they gave me the paper, and she gave me the ATM card, sorry, and the pin. So me hurriedly, knowing that my exam was like 9 o'clock that day, this was like 2 hours to my exam, and I was here running up and down trying to sort out scam people. So I got in a bus straight down, went to meet them. They said while you're on your way coming, give 15 naira to a male beggar and a female beggar, and everybody knows Africa is the hub of beggars. Like you see them on the road everywhere. So I gave one to a female beggar and one to a male beggar around Rumokoro. So and I crossed the road. I entered another bus. On my way in the bus, I was not like, because they had told me to also stop at that Rumokoro junction instead of going down by myself. But I already entered another bus when I called them. So the man was like really shouting again, why do you do this? So I had to come down from the bus, then wait for them. So halfway through they came, they picked me up, and then we were just driving slowly, but we're just driving. I don't know where we're going to. So along the way they are now like that, okay, do you have the ATM card, do you have your money? So and I'll transferred my own money to them, and then I give them my friend's ATM card. So when I give them my friend's ATM card, they're like, what's the pin now? Why they give us ATM card? What if we want to do it and we're not able to complete it because of the pin? So I'm like, should I give them this pin? Should I not give them? But then I'm like, I beg, let this thing just pass. Let me just get it over. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least I tried. So I gave them the pin, and then halfway through, they're like, okay, the woman should stop first and be going. Then so that the thing, we don't have to be together. Meanwhile, we were together throughout in the car. Then suddenly now I've given her the money. We don't have to be together anymore, so that the thing will work. So the woman comes down. She enters a bus that is heading already towards out of where we were. I think we're at Omagua or something like that. Crazy that I would go that far. Like anybody that knows Port Harcourt will know that coming all the way from Mile 3 where my school was down to Omagua was like a journey. It was like an hour plus journey already. So imagine that I would now have to complete that 1 hour plus back to school to go and write my exam that I had that particular day. It was mind-blowing anyways. So anyways, I already came down and left. Then me, after like let's say 10 minutes, I now came down, and then they gave me, I told them I did not have, like they had taken everything I had. I did not even have like 100 naira. Guys, I'm not joking. I did not even have 100 naira for TFM. So I came down, the man, and I told the guy that I did not have any money with me. He then gave me 500 naira, which is equivalent to like $1 at the moment. So he gave me the money. Then I took another bus and I started heading down to school. Halfway through, my friends were calling me. I say, where are you? We've not seen you. The exams have started. We are getting into the hall now. Where are you? Da, da, da. I'm like, I'm coming. I was at Rumokoro, still like 30 minutes from where school was, and they already started entering the exam hall. So I was already late for the exams. So anyways, at that point, all my head was, this morning, let's just. So yeah, guys, as I was saying before my camera tripped off. So my friends were already calling me. So when I got to school, luckily enough, the examiner let me in. I was already like an hour late for the exam that was 2 hours. So I got in, then I went to I started writing the exams. Luckily I had already been reading while I was on a bus. It wasn't like reading, but it was enough like to be able to write, put something down at least. Then I submitted. After the exam, as soon as I stepped out of the exam hall, my friends were already were holding me like this. Where is the money? You've taken this girl's money. Bring her money back. Okay, even if it's just 50k, at least just transfer. And guys, I kid you not, I didn't, like 50k is like $100. I didn't even have it. Like these people had drained me. Every single penny I had to my name, every single penny they are taking it from me, and I don't even know how, but it just happened, and I gave everything to them, and tada, I was here owing this girl almost 300,000, and I had to figure out how I was going to pay her back her money. There would have been no alternative other than calling my beloved parents to the rescue. So yeah, they gave her back her money. But anyways, that is my story. The moral of this story is that, guys, anywhere you see them, catch them for me, arrest them, jail them. Jail them for me. Anything you want to do, please do. These people took my money. These people made me helpless. They made me vulnerable. They made me lose good friendships. They made me, like, a lot of things happened. They spoiled my reputation, everything. They nearly made me fail a course, even though I got a C in that course, because your girl is some smarty pants. Yeah, 1 hour later on exam, I get to still come out with a C. Your girl is anyways, guys, that is a story. Don't forget to like this video, comment, share, subscribe, and let me know in the comment below if you've had any single experience at all with this type of people, like with these people. Let me know if you've had an experience. I would like to read your own personal story. Yeah, and I'll see you guys again next week when I come your way. Yeah, my name is Winifred. Until next week, until then, bye.